Today, I'm going to be teaching you how to install the PyCharm Python IDE on a Mac device. Additionally, in order to get you started and set up with all the different features and layouts inside PyCharm, I will also briefly go over how to get started with the IDE. Well, what are we waiting for? Let's get started. Hello, my name is Rohak and I'm the founder of Empower Code, helping you make a change with technology. Today marks the third episode of my course, Data Science for Media Bias Detection, where I will help you guys get started with the PyCharm IDE, the tool we will use to write our Python code. Now, in order to get started with the PyCharm IDE, we first need to set up Python 3 on our local machines. Now here, as you guys can see, I am on my terminal, and if I type in Python and run, we can see that we have Python 2.7.16 already installed on our computer. This is known as the legacy version, and every Mac device comes with one installed. But if we type in Python 3 into our terminal prompt, we get an error, which means that Python 3 is not currently defined on our device. So we need to set up Python 3, not the legacy version, on our Mac device in order to start running PyCharm. To do this, let's head over to python.org/downloads, the menu where we can install the latest version of Python for our Mac device. Here we should see the correct version match with our device, which is 3.9.0 at the time of this recording. If you don't see a correct version attached to your device, click on Mac OS X to get the right version of your install. So if we click download Python 3.9.0, we see a setup file being currently downloaded and installed on our personal machine. Great, now our setup file has been downloaded. Let's open this up in our Finder to see where it is located. Now that our file is safely stored in the download section of our Finder menu, we can simply right click and make our way through the setup menu. Inside of the setup widget, we can click continue and go through some of these initial agreements and extra information that Python provides throughout the installation process. So here on the license agreement step of our setup widget, we see this pop-up which says to continue installing the software, you must agree to the terms of the software license agreement. So here we can just say agree. So this is asking us the disk where we want to install the Python software, and we simply want to do this on the SSD disk in our Macintosh device. Now, after we make our way to the installation type section, we simply click install. Now we'll be prompted to enter in our password. After clicking install software, Python is now installing on our device. I'll come back to you guys when the installation is complete. Awesome, now Python is finished installing on our computer. And as you guys can see, as soon as it finished installing, it immediately opened its location in the Finder menu. Now Python 3.9 is successfully installed on our Mac device. Going back to our terminal now, we see that if we type Python 3, now the correct version of Python comes up on our screen. Now we officially know and can confirm that the correct version of Python has been successfully installed on our local machine. At this stage, PyCharm can now be installed very easily. Follow each step in this next section and you should be good to go. Now to start my installation, I'm gonna head over to the official PyCharm website. Great, now that I'm on the official webpage, I'm gonna click on the top right section of our website, which has a download prompt located inside. Why don't I click the prompt staring right back at me at the middle of the screen? Because that leads to the version of PyCharm for professional development. For our purposes, the community edition, which is free and open source, will do the job. Now, if we choose the community prompt to download PyCharm, we see on the left hand side of our screen a DMG file which will act as the setup widget is currently installing. Now let's click this DMG file and see what it has to offer. Okay, now it is opening the DMG file, it is doing some pre-verification, and now it's going to ask us to drag our PyCharm application to our applications folder. This is a really important step and you guys don't want to miss out on this. So we simply select our PyCharm file and drag it over to the applications menu. Now we can see that PyCharm is being copied over to our applications folder. This is what you want to see when you're downloading it. Now that PyCharm has been copied over to our applications folder, we can simply right click it and see how it opens up. To start, it's going to verify PyCharm to make sure it's safe for your local machine. Then we see this pop-up. PyCharm CE is an app downloaded from the internet. Are you sure you want to open it? When you guys see this, you guys simply want to click open and bypass this warning message. Now when you go ahead and click PyCharm, you should see this privacy policy that comes up. Let's confirm that we have read this and click continue. Now we are officially in the PyCharm setup widget. So now it's going to ask us to use a key map scheme. We'll simply go with the default one it offers on the Mac device. Next, we will be able to choose the theme for the user interface, also known as UI. I want to go with the Darkula theme because I think it looks super cool and all the text is super easy to read. So I'm going to go ahead and choose this option. The next step of the setup widget is called the launcher script, which creates a script for opening files and projects from the command line. We can simply check this box to create our launcher script. Now we are taken to a page with featured plugins. For my case, I don't want to install any of these for now, so I simply click Start Using PyCharm on the bottom of the prompt. Now PyCharm is loading up and we are now taken to the home page, which you see every single time you open up PyCharm. From here, we see three options. We can either create a new project, open up an existing project, or check out a running script from GitHub or other forms of version control. Since we are starting fresh, let's create a new project which we'll be using throughout this course. So we simply click New Project, and now we can title our project whatever we want. Let's name our project Newspaper Scrape, since that is the overall goal and theme of our course. Now, before we click Create, there are a couple options and menus on this page that you guys should be aware of. So here we see the base interpreter option, which will act as the interpreter for all our Python code. We want this to be set up to the latest version of Python installed on our personal machine. So here I have it correctly set up to Python 3.9. If you don't see the latest version of Python here, you might want to choose another interpreter from the drop-down menu. Now we can click Create and finally get started with the PyCharm IDE. And now our Newspaper Scrape project is loading up in the official PyCharm IDE. How cool is that? It'll give you a tip of the day, which it usually does, but you can simply close out of it. Now it's continuing to create our virtual environment, and in a couple of seconds, we will be able to see and access our Python code and project. Awesome! Now we finally downloaded, set up, and successfully installed Python on our personal Mac device. Here, when you open up PyCharm for the first time, it'll give you a sample Python script, which you can use to test out some basic code. If we click the Run button, which is in green and highlighted right at the top here, we can see that the program prints out Hi PyCharm. This means our Python interpreter that we downloaded earlier is working and everything is set up like it should be. Now it's all up to you what you want to do from here. You can choose to create a couple of scripts, an entirely new project, or something else. Experiment and get familiar with this IDE. Well, that is all for this how-to guide to installing the PyCharm Python IDE on a Mac device. I hope you are able to follow along and get started with this amazing IDE. Follow along in this course to learn how data science in Python can be leveraged to detect news bias in the media. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.